We might be too young to have a spotted cow, but we are both diehard Packers fans.
I could talk about this for hours.
He was my legend. He was my quarterback one. Taysom Hill, forever in my heart.
We have a kind of a reputation of being the young and diehard fans. How was that, Dr. Pepper Taysom?
Amazing.
Okay, good. Let's keep it under 25 minutes, all right?
The Green Bay Packers are 10-3. They currently hold the number 1 seed in the NFC. We're got a little bit of rhyming going on here, but the Packers are doing good. It's a great time to be alive. It's a great day to be a Packers fan, as is the rest of the 364 days out of the year. I'm Joey. Welcome you to episode 93 of the Underage Packers podcast. Great to have you here. And I am, as always, joined by my great friend, Big B, here today. Big B, what's your thoughts here? Week 15. What's the mood like overall?
Positive vibes.
Yep.
Couldn't be in a better spot. Just great week to be a Packers fan.
Absolutely. Dominating win over the Bears, winning by 15, 45-30. They could have put 50 on them if they really wanted to. I really hoped they would let Kurt go out there with a minute and a half left. Just let him sling it out there, see what he can do out there. But unfortunately, that did not happen. We did get some Kurt in victory formation action, so that was exciting. Yes. But overall, a great team win against the Chicago Bears. Well, at least 2 out of the 3 units were there for the Packers on Sunday, and we'll hit on that a little bit later. But Big B and I actually witnessed this great win in person. I'll talk about my experience here, but I want to hear Big B's first, because obviously we met up beforehand, pre-game, and I know that's a life-changing experience. But you know what happened after that? I mean, you could have dropped your hot dog, you could have spilled your soda. What was your experience like at Lambeau Field this weekend?
Yeah, well, it was fantastic being back after almost 2 years. I really missed it. But one thing that did happen was I met Matt Ramage. I literally tracked him down, went down a massive walking ramp. It's called ramp. Went down to the first level of Lambeau, and my feet were killing me afterwards. It was like finding Waldo, like in Lambeau. It was just unbelievable. And my experience during the game, the only thing I'll say to sum it all up was that the people in front of me kept laughing at me because I was so obnoxious. That's all I'll say.
That is a great thing.
Yes, and I'm pretty proud of that.
I was, I think I predicted or kind of thought, maybe I just said it to you, or maybe I said it in our episode, that genuinely when I'm watching the game, I'm kind of calm and like just trying, like, I'm hoping and like keeping my faith silently. I was definitely loud Sunday though, especially my favorite play of the whole game. Just like, and I think it was so different seeing it in person, and maybe it was just with the angle I was at. But Rasul Douglas, pick 6 in the second quarter. That's probably when I screamed the loudest, because, like I said, from the angle I was out at, on the corner of an end zone, corner of the opposite end zone that Rasul turned it in, like I could see the ball went out of Justin Fields' hands, and then all of a sudden Rasul Douglas is running the other way. So
yeah, that was insane. That was right on my sideline.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like right at the 52, so it's like perfect. It was like perfect view and everything. It was just absolutely gorgeous play.
Yes. Also talking about something that just specifically seeing it in person, AJ Dillon, man. That was just crazy to see human bodies just like 3 or 4 at a time, just obliterated by one giant man in number 28, AJ Dillon. And I didn't realize until I rewatched broadcasts this earlier on in the week that each one of those carries was going for 4, 5, 6 yards. Like, that was a pretty strong end of the game performance from AJ Dillon.
Yeah, you don't realize that when you're at the game, and then when you go back and watch, you're like, holy cow, he actually ran a couple decent runs here at the end of the game.
Yeah, I like because you're not really paying too much attention without the yellow first down marker. Like, obviously the orange markers are there for a reason, but you can't see them that well, and you're not looking so closely at them. So, you're just looking for a big play, and then you're looking at what the referee holds up for either a third or fourth down. But yeah, AJ Dillon, that was pretty crazy to see.
Yes.
And I did want to give a shout out, or just to mention a pat on the back to us. Incredible experience I had in Green Bay overall, but there was quite a few people I had come up to me. I'm not sure if it was the same for you, but even once I got to my seats, people tell me that they knew me and they knew the Underage Packers podcast, which is just a wild thing to even think about. The fact, like, there's just that many people that happen to be at the game that happen to know us. So a true incredible thank you to so many people that did, at least with me. It might have been harder to see a Big B because he had his mask on.
Yes.
But, and not only that, the greatest thing, like, that in itself is awesome, but then also people, like, almost every one of them made some reference to Dr. Pepper, or like some reference to a joke we made on the show, which is just absolutely awesome. Like, the fact that people get it. Yeah, cheers to the Dr. Pepper. Like, the fact that people get it and understand, like, it just shows how far our reach is.
Yes.
It's an absolutely crazy thing. So thank you. Oh, snap. Big B's
Oh,
breaking out
boy.
his Dr. Pepper shirt here.
Oh yeah, always.
This is a great tragedy for the people that are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts that didn't get to see that greatness. But yeah, one last time, thank you to everybody, especially Mike and his buddy, whose name I didn't get, who gave me a non-alcoholic beer. Interesting taste for sure. Yeah, supposedly I didn't believe them at first when they said, "Oh, we don't have any soda or Dr. Peppers, but we have this non-alcoholic beer." And I was like, "Let me see the label on that, all right? Let me make sure you're not trying to."
Knowing you always getting mischief.
I'll find a way to get myself in
that
trouble.
word.
Yeah,
Always getting that word in Green Bay. So.
I am getting that word.
Yes.
I understand what you were saying now.
Yes.
So yeah, I would have loved to come back for a brat. That was a great offer, but I was busy recording a phenomenal video with Tyler of Cheesehead TV.
What's your name, sir?
My name is Kyle Cousineau.
All right, nice to meet you. How many beers have you had tonight?
So far, probably this is my fourth, I think. Only fourth, but it's early.
Okay, I see. So have you had any Dr. Peppers at all?
No Dr. Peppers.
All right, we are here with some Bears fans, unfortunately. What do you guys think about Lambeau Field here tonight?
It's nice. I like it. You guys are all most gorgeous. One of the Soldier Field is a shithole. This is beautiful.
He gave me a microphone and we interviewed some drunk people. Absolutely phenomenal time. If you have not watched that yet, highly recommend it. Especially because of the way that Tyler, social guy for Cheesehead TV, cut it together so it's so fast paced and you get the best of the best of every interview, but it's still cohesive. Like 2 minutes and 30 seconds is perfect for it. And it all ended up coming together really nicely.
Yeah, it was great to be behind the scenes of that for at least a few of them. It was so funny. And I'm gonna let you all on a little secret. That wasn't a real microphone, by the way. That was not a real microphone.
Oh.
So sorry everybody, but
Yeah, the thing I'm holding there isn't like, that's not picking up anything. There's a little thing attached to it. That's just like a normal microphone you'd see like attached to a camera in somebody's pocket when they're going out. So, it picked up really well though. And I'm sure the people that I was interviewing would be disappointed to find that out. And there's also a picture that somebody sent to me of like just me interviewing somebody. And it's an awesome picture because it looks like I'm out there for some professional news company and Tyler's got his flashlight on his phone. So it looks like I'm in front of a camera. It was C. Nelson, who I'm familiar with. And they probably didn't want to come up to me just because I was interviewing. But that was a lot of fun. And we got some drunk people in there, which was the whole goal. Like, I think with the first interview that you only see at the very end when they say, "Oh, we're from Utah," and I'm just like, "All right, we don't need you anymore."
So where are you guys from?
Utah.
All right. I think that's all we got for you.
Like that first interview, I think I could have done a better job at kind of establishing the mood.
Yeah,
Like,
I could tell you were a little nervous. I could tell.
yeah, and I didn't really even get like the mood. I understood the mood and kind of tone we were going for, but I didn't. I was kind of struggling to figure out how can I like get some funny answers out of them. The conversation wasn't going anywhere really, and I've said this before on here that like when I'm nervous interviewing somebody, I'm just like so thrilled that I got the question out that I'm not even paying attention to their answer to think of a follow up or like respond to their answer. So that was definitely a case here. Like I could have maybe built something off of that. I still think their answer might have been a little bit boring. But yeah, it's so funny that they're just like, yeah, we're from Utah. And I'm just like, all right, we're done with you.
Yep.
But anyways, absolutely incredible weekend in Green Bay. Big B will be back there for the Christmas Day game against the Cleveland Browns. I'm sure he'll have a fun time there. Snow is in the forecast. We're still 10 days out, but snow is currently in the forecast for Green Bay on that hopefully white Christmas Day game against Cleveland. That would be a lot of fun.
McGuire in the role of fullback. Rodgers comes back to the left. Wide open is Jones, and he is into the end zone again on back-to-back offensive plays. 23 yards this time.
All right, now let's get to some more analysts of the game that we kind of saw. And the thing that stuck out to me in person and when I rewatched it and these past few weeks really is that Aaron Rodgers' toe injury is making him play the best football of the season. This game against LA and this game against Chicago, these past two games, I would say are undoubtedly his best two games of the season. Who do we played Minnesota before that? And in the second half of that game on fire, I think Aaron Rodgers is starting to really put it together with this 2021 offense. Big B, what are your thoughts on Aaron's past few performances?
Man, well, the Bears game, that was vintage Aaron Rodgers. It felt like we went back in a time machine. He was like pinpoint. I still can't get over that catch by Alan Lazard in the first quarter, I think it was.
Oh, yeah.
That was insane. And just the whole offense as a whole has been playing so much better. The run game, the pass game, just blending so nicely the past few weeks. Coming back to 2020 offense, and I am all here for it, especially now in December, in the January, in the February. Watch out, people. It's here. It's here.
Yeah, I mean, like, for sure. Yeah, you summed it up pretty well. Aaron Rodgers is playing awesome, and we're getting down the stretch. And not only Aaron, like you mentioned, all of the offense is really starting to have some really good performances. Alan Lazard had a good performance, bouncing back after some poor ones a few weeks before. And then the offensive line also is still holding up really well, even with all this adversity they face. Big B, I'm sure if I told you at the start of the season that by week 15, our offensive line would be looking like Yash Nyman at left tackle, John Runyon at left guard, Lucas Patrick at center, Royce Newman at right guard, and then Dennis Kelly at right tackle, you'd probably think that Aaron Rodgers has half a second to get rid of the ball before the defenders are in his face.
Yeah, I'd be saying, Jesus, take the wheel.
Oh, yeah.
But you know, they've been playing like really good. Like they have like 1 to 3 mess ups like in the first few drives, and then they're great for the rest of the game. They have a few hiccups, and then like I said, they're fine for the rest of the game. And I feel like that's all this team needs is just a solid offensive line, not a great offensive line, just a solid offensive line. Have Aaron Rodgers back there as well. Give him some time to throw, and you're seeing what can happen. Beautiful.
Yeah, what was so important to the offense's success last year was incredible play from the offensive line. Like,
Yes.
I am just like, my mind is dreaming right now of an offensive line with David Bakhtiari at left tackle, Elton Jenkins at left guard, and then so Corey Linsley at center. Like, oh my God, I can't believe that was an actual offensive line with this offense.
I know.
But from what they've gone through, they're holding up really well. And you don't notice them too much, which is always a good thing. And the whole offensive line unit got their time to shine on the Packers game day program this past week. I mean, you got all of them in there. We even got some Ben Braden 15 seconds of fame on the game day program. That's great to see.
Sir.
So speaking of this offensive line, and the reason that the veteran Dennis Kelly got his first action on the Packers was because Billy Turner went down in that first quarter for the Packers. It looked pretty similar to Elton Jenkins' injury just a few weeks ago. And I think just with the nature of the offensive line injuries we've had this season, we thought, guess he's out for the year. But Matt LaFleur, in his past two press conferences, has showed some optimism, which he really rarely does with injuries. Showed some optimism, and it doesn't look like it'll be a season-ending injury for Billy Turner. I suspect he'll be out for the next 4 weeks of the regular season. But come playoff time, if we get probably, all signs pointing to David Bakhtiari being back, potentially Josh Myers being back, and then Billy Turner returning for the playoffs, puts the offensive line in an even better state. So hearing that Billy isn't going to be out for a long time, hearing that it's not an ACL injury is huge, because if it was ACL, this is just 2 weeks before 2 weeks in the year before David Bakhtiari got his on New Year's Eve, and Bakhtiari is still out until week 15 of the following year. So Elton's probably going to experience a similar timeline. I'm sure it's different for everyone, but Elton's certainly not going to be back week 1 for the Packers unless bearing some absolutely incredible recovery path. So Billy Turner not having to go through that is a great sign, although with his contract and the cap space, he might be gone after this year anyways. But we don't need to talk about that. We're not talking about any off-season negativity. And because, I saw a lot of people, and this has been throughout the season, when Aaron Rodgers ever drops hints about like his future in Green Bay or his future with another team, anything like that, people like to analyze, well, what does this mean? What does Aaron Rodgers' latest quote on the Pat McAfee show means for his future? I don't care. All right. If he leaves, if he stays, I don't care. In week 15 of the 2021 NFL season, we're about to make a playoff push. I do not care what Aaron Rodgers is going to do at all past February 8th, the first Sunday of February. I do not care. All right. I hope I made that clear.
I don't think you did. I think you're going to have to explain one.
I don't think the national media is going to hear me anyway, unfortunately.
Dang.
Let's see. Anything else we got to say on the offense? We got to A.J. Dillon. We talked about Kurt Benkert. One guy I wanted to talk about, though, was Mercedes Lewis. A nice golf clap for him. 4 receptions for 51 yards. He had a lot of big receptions, obviously, when you're averaging just short of 13 yard average on every reception. You're getting some big receptions in there. He had a 20-yard one where he got a little acrobatic after, falling down in almost a tumble on a big 20-yard reception. So I think, Robert Tonyan is out. So Josiah DeGuara, Mercedes Lewis are obviously going to have to step it up. Not that they were playing bad beforehand, but they're going to have to assume more of a role here. And we'll see how they play going into the playoffs here, man.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring up Josiah DeGuara for a quick second before we head into the defense or special teams or wherever we're going after this. Josiah DeGuara is starting to round in the shape, finally start to find a place in this offense. He is coming to the point where he was Minnesota last year, week 1. Like it is gorgeous to watch. This is what Matt LaFleur has been dreaming about since we drafted him. I'm just so excited, so happy to see him develop into a starting role in the offense, especially down the stretch. He's gonna have to pick it up, and he is. So,
He's starting to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bring up last year against Minnesota week 1, which is such a weird pull for a NFL rookie's very first game to point to that and say that's what he's looking like now. But
yeah,
he wasn't incredibly productive against Minnesota, but he got a lot of opportunities out of the backfield as a fullback, and really in the receiving game. I loved the opportunities that Josiah had in the receiving game against Minnesota last year. There was specifically one wheel route where he could have been gone, but Aaron just shortly overthrew him. So, anyways, I agree completely with what you said about Josiah there, and he's a very versatile piece, obviously, and we'll see what he can do down the stretch here for Green Bay.
Yeah, and how could I forget that block he had on that one run play? He absolutely lit him up. I know Nagler showed on Packers Transplants for the hotness. It was truly the hotness. It was.
Great. I know, that's something like you could even show like even a casual NFL fan and they get excited about it. Even somebody that doesn't like really understand or love blocking tight ends, like you could show that to them, just like killing a man, and that's some good content to watch.
Oh yes.
So that's Josiah DeGuara here. Before we get to the defense, who also had a pretty good game, or special teams, I did want to get back to Aaron Rodgers, and I wanted to originally talk about this before we moved on from him, was the MVP race. I don't want to talk about this too much because it can definitely get a little oversaturated, a little too hypothetical, a little too much like, well, who really cares about some analysts? We'll just wait to see what happens when it happens. But he's tidying, the race is tightening up, and there's really not a front runner candidate at this point. Tom Brady started off really hot. I think he had like 18 touchdowns in his first 4 games. He had some performances from then to now. He's coming off a good game against Buffalo. But, you know, there's quite a handful of quarterbacks that are kind of just at that same mix. You got Brady, obviously, Rodgers, and then Kyler Murray, I think, is 3, I'd say. And then you got like a few guys trailing behind. If Stafford hasn't sucked these past few weeks, he'd be right up there as well. And then
Jonathan Taylor.
Yep. It's just
look at us.
Yeah, in sync. And so, you know, if Frank Reich likes to actually use them and doesn't want to give them the Mike McCarthy treatment to Aaron Jones, then we'll see what happens with Taylor. But he'd have to end the season off with some strong performances as a running back, especially as a disadvantage there. But Big B, what are you thinking of Aaron Rodgers potentially winning back-to-back MVPs, getting his 4th on his career?
Well, I predicted it before the season started, so I mean I'm happy about it. It probably won't happen because of everything that happened this offseason and the COVID stuff.
Yeah,
but it is exciting to look at and something to watch. Tom Brady just throwing interceptions. They're going to win the rest of their games. They have a cakewalk of a schedule the rest of the way. So like Brady just throwing a couple pick sixes, a couple picks here and there. Rodgers just staying on the hot streak he is. He'd probably have a lot better chance at winning the MVP than a lot of people think.
I know. It will be really interesting to see. I do think it will go to Brady.
Yeah.
Just because of 2 things you mentioned of voter fatigue. You know, they voted for him last year unanimously. I think Mike Florio threw in a vote for some. Florio probably threw in a Mahomes vote there.
Shocker.
Yeah, but voter fatigue from last year, and then also just the controversy. They might not want that, and also, if they were true to their jobs, but we know media members most of the time aren't. Then Rodgers has had, in my opinion, better performances this season. So we'll have to see what happens here. It could be maybe it's like last year with Mahomes, where it comes down to these final 4 games, and Rodgers has some really strong performances down the stretch.
Yeah.
All right, that's Aaron Rodgers. We'll see. We'll update that weekly on our thoughts or whenever we feel it's necessary. Okay, I think that's all we have to talk about for the offense. And now it is on to the defensive side of the ball. And we need to start off the defense's conversation with the same probably talking point that we have every single week. And that is Rasul Douglas and Devondre Campbell playing absolutely insane. Yeah, round of applause for those guys. And we wouldn't be talking about them if it didn't feel like every week they're putting better stuff out there. Devondre Campbell, I think, showed a whole different side of him last week against Chicago. We said that before the game, the only chance Chicago really has is to run David Montgomery over and over again. Devondre Campbell and Kenny Clark shut that down pretty fast.
Yeah.
I watched some clips on Twitter of all 22 broadcasts, and the thing I really noticed with Devondre was his patience to wait for things to develop, wait for holes to develop instead of just pursuing one pocket where David could possibly run to. He waits for David to choose a side, and he's kind of hovering in between those two, and he immediately shuts his down when Montgomery makes that decision. So Devondre Campbell, man, 16 total tackles on the day. My God, what a beast.
Man, he had to at least come close to some type of record in Packer history.
And then Rasul Douglas, I still say without a doubt, LA was his best performance. He had the pick 6, and then he also had so many pass breakups, which were fun to watch. And then this game, we talked about it earlier, the pass breakup, and Justin Fields had to run a lot because, man, Shannon Sullivan, Eric Stokes, Douglas, lockdown coverage, man.
Yeah.
Man.
They're pretty legit. I'll tell you
pretty
that
legit.
Much. Yeah.
They're quite something. And going down the stretch here, it's fun to think about, this season as a whole, it's fun to think about how different this Joe Barry defense would look, especially without Devondre Campbell, but how different this, without Campbell, and then also without Jair Alexander and Rasul Douglas. If Jair gets injured and our answer for him is Shamar Jean-Charles to get a boost, or Kavion Ento, oh my God.
Good Lord.
That's a scary thing to think about. And Campbell as well, if this inside linebacker room is Chris Barnes and Kamal Martin instead of the veteran Devondre Campbell, sheesh.
I mean, I was excited for Kamal Martin before the season started, but that just sounds disgusting right now.
It does. It really does. And I'm sure they, the releasing of Kamal Martin and kind of the timing is still a question to me, because I know Kirksey's contract was too expensive to keep for the value he was giving.
Yes.
But if Kamal Martin was so bad in camp that they had to release him in his second year off season, you'd have to think, I know he was recovering from an injury, but you'd have to think they wanted somebody else at inside linebacker. And they didn't do that until they signed Devondre in June. So thank God, though, that Devondre proved to be good and they ended up signing him.
Yes, and Kamal probably didn't contribute a lot on special teams, which doesn't look like many people are contributing on special teams anyway, but
no. And that's a great transition. And I Yeah, I thought before this game, there's no way. There is no way this can get worse on special teams. I thought before they promoted Maurice Drayden to replace Sean Meninga that there's no way this could get worse. And I thought the same thing when they hired Sean Meninga to replace Ron Zook finally. There's no way this could get worse. And I'm sure Packers fans in the early 2000s, when they moved on from Sean Slocum, they thought there's no way this can get worse. And it keeps getting worse. Folks.
And I'll say this. No one feels worse than those young men who were on the field. No one feels worse than them. They have beat themselves up, and that's why, I'm the positive Pete right now. We got to be positive Pete, because those guys feel bad. They do. And they're working hard. And, I was encouraged going into the game because we had a good week of preparation. We've had a great 2 days of preparation here, but we have to do it on Sunday. This is the bottom line. It has to get done on Sunday.
Even in 1928, when they didn't have specialists to punt and kick the ball, they might have not even kicked or punt the ball at that time.
Vern Llewellyn, come on now.
Oh, sure, of course.
Come on.
How could I forget about Pro Football Hall of Famer Vern Llewellyn?
Should be Pro Football.
Yes, that's correct. All right. It's and it's they probably were playing better special teams then when they didn't have specialists, when they had Don Hudson having to do all the work for them, have him run for an 80-yard touchdown and then go out there and kick the field goal. We saw a bad performance in Cincinnati where they missed 5 straight field goals, and it wasn't truly all on Mason Crosby because the protection was pitiful. And now here they come against the Chicago Bears. And in the first half alone, they allowed 213 return yards for the Chicago special teams units. That is crazy.
We hit rock bottom, right?
I hope. I really hope we did. If we didn't, I do not want to see what rock bottom looks like.
Oh Lord.
God. If you take away special teams, that's at least 17 points taken away from Chicago.
Yeah.
That's nuts. And there's some things like going to the coordinator, Maurice Drayden, there's some things with special teams where it's hard to pinpoint on, okay, we can't tell if this guy just doesn't get it or if Maurice Drayden cannot do his job. But there are certain points in there where you're like, what are we even trying to accomplish?
Yeah.
I don't know much about special teams, but there's some things I see on the film I watch where I'm like, that does not seem like a good plan.
Yeah, okay, I'm not a returner. I'm not a punt returner, but I'm pretty sure you don't go like this to catch a punt. Like Amari is going like this to catch a punt.
Yeah,
and I don't know anything about football clearly, but I don't think that's how you're supposed to catch a punt. I was taught to catch it like this, where your elbows touching and catch it like this.
Yep.
And man, part of this, okay, I'm going to take this from Andy Herman. If you guys haven't watch this, then you can listen to me blab about what Andy Herman said, because I'll sound smart because Andy Herman's smart. Some of this has to be put on Brian Gutekunst, just a little bit, not all of it, because he didn't get a returner. There's not a single returner on the 53-man roster, not a returner on the practice squad. Hell, not even on IR is there a returner that's injured. Like there's nobody. And I don't know. That's the one flaw this offseason for Gutekunst is not finding a punt returner or a kick returner. That's the one thing he didn't do. He had a fantastic offseason, fantastic midseason acquisitions, everything. But the one thing he did not get a punt returner. Just a little bit that nobody's talking about is Gutekunst not doing that.
Yeah, man. And I think Amari Rodgers was kind of an attempt to say, like, not only can he be a very, very versatile piece in the offense, but he can also return punts. I don't know how much experience he had at Clemson, but it's clearly not working out. And then Malik Taylor is kind of the fallback plan, and he was originally on kickoff returns, even after a 2020 season where he did not look good, specifically in the Colts game where Malik fumbles a kick right back in the Packers end, and they start out at like the 2 or 3, and then he also makes some boneheaded return decisions in that same game. Overall, Malik wasn't good. Kylan Hill proved to be a better kickoff returner, and it's such a shame that he isn't getting this great opportunity right now. Randall Cobb at 30 obviously isn't going to get the job done. When they threw him out there against LA, they were really just hoping for him to hold on to the ball, and he didn't. So I don't know what to say. Returners issue, punt formations, return stopping is an issue. Kicking has been an issue. Man.
Bro, I miss Jamal so much. Just put him back there at kick returner, dude. He did some of that last year at the end of the year. I'm missing him now. Like, we need him.
Yeah.
Man.
And even before, it was 2019 when the Packers could not find a punt returner to save their lives. They tried out so many people there. They had Trevor Davis, Tremont Williams back there at certain points. And then finally, Tyler Irvin comes along and saves them. But before that, they probably averaged -5 yards on every return.
Yeah.
And with Ron Zook and Meninga, they both had their kind of like icks. There's certain things like they could never get together. With Zook, it was definitely the penalties, and with Meninga, it was returning definitely. And then, Drayden just seems to suck at all of it. Like, just a combination of Zook's and Meninga's problems. But
good Lord.
I do not want to talk about the special teams unit for the rest of the season unless it is a return touchdown. Never again. Like, unless it's something positive, I do not want to be talking about the special teams, especially for the amount of time we have spent on it in this episode alone.
Man, I hope we hit rock bottom. I hope so. I just pray.
I hope it cannot go farther down. Like,
I don't think it can, but it probably can, knowing them. They'll find a way.
They'll find a way, yeah. We'll see, man. And
all right, I'm done with this.
There's some more things I want to say, but like possibly firing Drayden, which went into a season, but put it to rest. We'll let him get it together against the Ravens and former special teams coordinator John Harbaugh. They got a really good special teams unit down there. #1 special teams unit in the league. That's obviously what a lot of people are talking about the Ravens this week. Not their elite quarterback going down. Lamar Jackson suffered a high ankle sprain last week against the Cleveland Browns, and they've been trying to get him out there at practice this week. And apparently today, Thursday, was kind of a big day for him, a big day for the team. They wanted to see, okay, if he's good to go on Thursday, fine and dandy, we'll throw him out there on Sunday. Was not able to show up today. So it's now looking highly unlikely that he will go out there against Green Bay, which obviously changes quite a bit of things for the Packers. The defense did a really solid job at containing Kyler Murray, obviously only holding the Cardinals to 21 points in Week 9. Justin Fields had to resort to scrambling plenty of times, and he's pretty fast. So Lamar being out, we'll never know how much he could run over the Packers. However, the backup quarterback for Baltimore is also kind of a shifty guy. Tyler Huntley, not Hundley. Tyler Huntley is what Brett Hundley wishes he could be.
Oh.
Hey-oh. But last week, the Ravens almost came back. Am I making that up, or did they like kind of make it close near the end against the Browns?
Yeah, they came back, and then didn't Cleveland do something stupid, and then Ravens got the ball back, and then Myles Garrett did something, and then things happened.
That sounds like a pretty typical Browns game.
Yeah.
They do something stupid, and Myles Garrett does something good.
Yeah.
So the Ravens made it 22-24 and scored 16 in the second half and shut out the Browns. So interesting.
Not bad.
And all of that would have been with Huntley at quarterback. So
Yes, Walmart version Lamar Jackson.
I know that's exactly what I think of. Like they have the same like skinny type build too. So like
I know it's weird.
pick a
It's
number
like,
8 on Huntley, and I'd have no clue really.
I know it's so weird.
I'm sure we'll be able to see when he's actually playing. I'm sure we'll see a difference 4 quarters in.
Probably.
But that I'd be surprised now at this point if Lamar ends up coming out there. He will have star rookie wide receiver Rashad Bateman, who has been doing good, and then Mark Andrews at tight end. So that's Huntley's weapons. And then Big B. I have a kind of a shocking stat to share with you. All right. I need you. All right. Guess which position, like which rank the Ravens have in run defense this year.
The ranking?
Yes. Like
they're pretty good, so probably like top 5.
they are actually number 1 in the league in run defense, at least for yards allowed per game. And now, all right, so they got a really strong unit for run, obviously. They got Calais Campbell on that front. Now guess for me what their pass defense ranks in the league.
Well, it seems like everybody in their secondary is like gone and hurt or has COVID or something. So I'm going to say probably like 29, 30.
They are 31st.
Oof.
That needs to be researched. Somebody needs to look into that to see if an NFL offense or NFL defense has ever ranked first in one category and 32nd in the other. Like, that is crazy.
That is.
And like you mentioned, they got a lot of guys out due to injury. Most notably, star cornerback Marlon Humphrey, who is on injured reserve. So they also have Chuck Clark, their safety, who was placed on the COVID list earlier today. So that's secondary, man. It's looking like Aaron Rodgers might get his arm worked out.
Yeah, and a keto victory is definitely getting a running game going this week. Like, if you can get the running game going, if the Ravens can stop AJ Dillon, which is hard to do, then it's going to be difficult. But if they can't, which they probably won't, it's going to be a very fun game for the offense.
But yeah, that might be an underrated aspect in this game because, like, being able to take advantage if we can somehow run effectively on the number 1 run defense in the league, and then like start making their backup corners, backup secondary, like start having to roll up and then just absolutely expose them. Oh man.
Shoot, Devontae might go for 300 yards.
Oh yeah. I hope the Ravens are able to that number 5 in the first digit one on their scoreboard. That might make an appearance on Sunday.
Maybe.
Well, we'll have to see. Stack some high scoring performances on for the Packers offense. All right, that's the Baltimore Ravens game. Now let's look ahead to the future. Matt LaFleur can stop listening up to this point. They're going to go 1-0 this week. Now cover your ears, Coach Matt LaFleur, because we're going to look ahead into the future at the NFC playoff picture, which the Green Bay Packers currently hold the number 1 seed in. With at 10-3, they got tiebreakers over the Arizona Cardinals, who are the 3rd seed because of the matchup win, obviously, and then they have more conference wins than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the 2 seed. So all the Packers have to do is win out, and then the road to LA will run through Lambeau Field. They'll get that sweet first round bye. So they got 4 games to go here. And I know a lot of people might think, especially now with Lamar Jackson out, an easy run here. But to me, the Ravens, the backup quarterback, you got the Browns, two kind of inconsistent teams that you never know what you can expect from them. And then you have the Vikings and the Lions send it off, and division games can always be, once again, you never know what to expect from them. So
yeah, and the Lions always give us a hard time in Detroit. Like the past, what was it, like 2 years, they've come down to like a last second field goal by Mason Crosby, which, now that I'm saying that, kind of scares me, but we won't think about that until the time comes.
Yeah. They certainly have played hard. We'll see if Jared Goff can keep that up.
Yeah.
But we might be able to drop still a game or two, hopefully only one at most. But Arizona still does have the 4th-seeded Cowboys on their schedule, and then the Indianapolis Colts as well. So Cardinals could still drop one or two. Tampa Bay, though, like you mentioned, does not have any challenging teams on their schedule.
Yeah.
But
our only hope is probably New Orleans this week, and the rest probably won't see an L in the category for any other.
Yep. But anything can happen. That's why they play the games.
Yep.
So, but easiest path for Green Bay, just win. And then you can rest a little bit.
Yep.
So they do clinch the NFC North with a win against Baltimore or a Chicago win over Minnesota on Monday. So it looks like it might be hat and t-shirt week this week in Baltimore. Man, I am so mad that the Steelers and Pat Freiermuth couldn't hold on to that touchdown to seal off a great comeback against Minnesota. And that would have been awesome to clinch the division at home against the Bears. Everybody filing down to the pro shop to get their NFC North champions hat and t-shirt. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, I was ready.
Yep. I had an extra 25 saved in my pro shop expenses, so didn't happen though. Other than that, anything else you want to add, Big B?
One thing about the Bears game. Okay. I got this from Mike Spofford. I'm just taking everything from everybody else this week. But the 5 touchdowns scored, I think he said in the second quarter, but I feel like there wasn't 5 touchdowns scored now that I'm thinking about it. But 5 touchdowns were scored of 35 plus yards. It is an NFL record since the tracking since 1991 or 1921. So that's pretty crazy. So 5 touchdowns scored with 35 plus yards.
Oh, okay. And that was all because of Chicago's.
Pretty much.
Yeah, they had 2 early on in the game and then a return. But Aaron also had his pass to Devontae, which was almost like the length of a Hail Mary. Because Aaron was throwing it out like the 50. So that was a pretty crazy play. Great note. Great way to end it off. I think this is a really good one. We went a long time, and I think no dead air, no boring conversations, and hopefully our listeners feel the same.
I hope.
Yeah. I hope, man. I don't understand how, if we've got listeners on all of our past 92 episodes, and I don't think there's any way they could find any of our conversations boring. There's certainly somewhere I'd point out, but we're gonna end it off here. We appreciate you guys so much for listening and all the support you give us. Make sure to continue to show us that support by subscribing to the YouTube channel, following us on all the social media thingies, and we'll talk to you later. Packers get their win against Baltimore this week, 11-3, continue their dominance of the NFC. We'll talk to you later. Go Pack, go.